Welcome everyone to today's Alcor customer webinar, Augment Employee Experience with Service Delivery Digital Transformation. For today's webinar, Alcor partnered with Marvell Semiconductor. Alcor Solutions is a global digital transformation services company serving Fortune 500, government agencies, and other leading organizations in multiple industry verticals across US, Canada, Europe, Japan, and India. Alcor advises leading businesses on cloud platforms, digital workflows, technology and robotic automation, enterprise service management, HR solutions, integrated risk management, and data and analytics. We also provide business process consulting to capture, re engineer, and improve processes that can easily be automated to deliver real value. The Alcor consulting team has excellence in business strategy, cloud technology, and organizational change management. Alcor is a ServiceNow Elite Partner, AWS Partner, and Oracle Gold Partner, and also works with PeopleRain, Azure, Salesforce, Incota, Snow Software, Tanium, and several other cutting-edge technologies. We have time reserved at the end of the webinar for Q&A, so please feel free to type any questions into the question section of the webinar dashboard. Our today's webinar is presented by Jim Price. Jim is currently an IT director at Marvell Semiconductor, a global firm headquartered in Santa Clara, California. In the past 3 years, he has headed Marvell's roadmap to transform the service delivery experience and underlying processes. Over those 3 years, ServiceNow has been deployed for IT, facilities, operations, HR, and health reporting, with more groups planned. He also manages key programs in collaboration and is helping to define Marvell Digital Workplace with colleagues across numerous functions. Prior to Marvell, Jim spent many years in digital marketing roles, where he managed external and internal facing web properties for Polycom and Cadence Design Systems. His background causes him to think quite a bit about user experience, and he puts a heavy emphasis on this in how he tries to deliver solutions in the corporate environment. Also, we have with us today Sushma Ethel. Sushma is Senior Manager Consulting and HR Service Delivery Practice Lead at Alcor. With over 18 years of experience in IT product and service business, Sushma holds expertise in program, project management, and solution consulting. A graduate in computers, she holds multiple certifications, including PMP and ITIL 2011 Foundation. She is a ServiceNow Certified System Administrator, Implementation Specialist, IDSM, HR, PPM, and HR Enterprise Suite certified on Paris. I will now turn the webinar over to Sushma.
Thank you, Neha, for the introductions. Hello, everyone. I would like to begin with talking about a few of the applications that solutions that Alcor offers, and how we help our customers build simplified and integrated solutions for their enterprise. The cloud-based offerings include Oracle Cloud Solutions, implementing cloud applications and provide advisory, helping clients make the transition from their existing infrastructure to the cloud platform in a disciplined and organized way, and provide support and services under managed services. Enabling people is, I would say, our mission to deliver and support the HR solutions and digitize HR workflows, transform employee experience when it comes to interaction with HR, communication across the organization, and HR operations. We have also built many products on the ServiceNow platform that's available on the ServiceNow store that can fit in very well with the overall HR solution that any organization is looking for. So we'll talk about this in a little more detail in one of the upcoming slides when we talk about the solutioning on the ServiceNow platform. Alcor's governance and risk compliance services are designed to assist its clients develop and implement a GRC framework that is easy to deploy and manage based on ServiceNow's GRC functionality. Enterprise service management includes IT service management, integrations, building platform capabilities like mobile functionalities, implementing collaboration tools, and language translation, and many more. And lastly, the enterprise asset management automates your IT asset life cycles, track IT hardware and software applications to get the real-time transparency in the system. So we talked about the solutions. These are some of the services offered by Alcor for the solutions that we just talked about. So Alcor provides end-to-end consulting, managed services, cognitive technology implementations, including AI, machine learning, natural language processing, digitizing workflows. And that's one of the part of our agenda today as well. Like we'll talk about how organizations get benefited from that, applying digitized workflows to their IT, HR, facilities processes, integrating ServiceNow with different third-party applications to achieve maximum automation. Lastly, data and analytics is a crucial component for any solution, so that's offered as a core practice at Alcor. Here's a snapshot of how an HR solution can be built on the ServiceNow platform, and digital transformation of the HR service delivery and workflows can be achieved, leading to an elevated employee experience and efficient HR operation. So this example that we're just going to review is about the HR service delivery operations. So we start with a portal experience for the employees. So the employees need to have a single stop to receive their organizational communications, log their queries to HR, and access the various HR services that are offered to them. This can be achieved by implementing the ServiceNow portal as an enterprise intranet that not only caters to the HR needs, but also allows the employees to access the other departments and services at a single place. So the ServiceNow Employee Service Center, that's part of the HR service delivery suite of applications, that's highly recommended to build a solution like that for the portal component. On the back end, ServiceNow can be leveraged for implementing the end-to-end HR processes by using the HR applications, again, like case and knowledge management, onboarding, offboarding, relocation, and a few of the other lifecycle events can be achieved by implementing enterprise onboarding and transitions. Then the collaboration tool could be the agent, and then employee document management to manage all the employee files. So additionally, as I previously mentioned, Alcor has developed many products on the ServiceNow platform that's available on the store that complete the overall solution and provides a seamless experience for the employees and the HR staff. For example, the talent management or the talent run, it takes care of the recruitment and the candidate selection. The access flow is a product that helps with the access provisioning for the new hires, the birthright access provisioning for the new joinees, the role-based access, and also deactivating the access during offboarding. Reflective is a performance appraisal tool, and High Five is an employee engagement and an employee appreciation application that's built on the ServiceNow platform. So to summarize, this is an example for digitizing the human resources workflow. Similarly, different applications and products, like different ServiceNow applications and products can be leveraged under a single platform to automate and digitize the processes. It could be IT, it could be facilities, HR, and many other areas. So at this point in the webinar, I would like to invite Jim Price from Marvell Semiconductor. He will be walking us through Marvell's ServiceNow journey along with Alcor, workflow automations, the portal experience built at Marvell for IT, facilities, HR, safe return to work, and the future roadmap. Once again, on behalf of Alcor, I welcome you, Jim, to this session, and thank you for sharing your insights with everyone here. Over to you, Jim.
Well, thanks for the intro, Alcor team and attendees. My name is Jim Price with Marvell Semiconductor, and welcome to this webinar. I am excited to show what we've done over the past 3 years with Alcor's help in implementing the ServiceNow platform across multiple business functions. And I'd like to make a comment before I actually get into my material on Alcor. If you've worked with Alcor, if you're a current customer, you already know that they're a great agency to work with. If you're a prospective customer with Alcor, I would just say they come highly recommended by me. They have been very responsive. They are very customer-centric. Certainly very knowledgeable on the ServiceNow platform, and we have been very successful working with them. So again, they come highly recommended. So just a couple of logistics before I get into the deck. I do have quite a few slides, so I think I will move through them fairly quickly. And Sushma, I think we're asking folks to kind of keep track of their questions. You can drop them in chat if you want to, so they don't get lost. But we'll go through the slides, and then we'll try to leave some time at the end for questions. Okay, let's get started. So I'm going to start actually with a picture of what we accomplished, and then I'm going to go through kind of how we got there and show some sample work. Over the past 3 years, we've gone from implementing ServiceNow for IT only. We did that in a couple of phases. We did incident and portal initially. And then in a second phase for IT, we did service catalog and problem. That was done in our first year. Subsequently, we've gone on to do asset management, change management, and that has been very successful as well. But our strategy from the very beginning was not to just be IT-centric. Our strategy before we even rolled out IT was to say, look, can we support all of the service delivery functions within the company? So can we support IT, facilities, HR, legal, operations, finance, marketing? These were the focus areas, and in fact, that's what we have actually done. On the right-hand side, you see the portal as it exists. Well, as it will exist in 2 months, right? We've got finance and marketing coming on board over the next 2 months, and that will complete that picture that you see there. So we have brought on board IT, then facilities was second. The legal was third, HR next, with operations, and then finance and marketing. So that's what we have accomplished, and again, it has been quite successful. Now, while it was successful, it wasn't necessarily a piece of cake or a cakewalk to get there. So we had our challenges and our approach to get there. So let me talk about that a little bit next. So here's where some of the initial challenges. We had, when we started, multiple IT ticketing systems in play around the globe. They needed to be consolidated into one. We had insufficient tracking on tickets because much of what came into IT was email-based. It wasn't even in one of the ticketing systems, right? So we really couldn't keep track of our queue. We had very minimal self-service knowledge published. We did have an IT website, but it was kind of partially populated. It wasn't highly leveraged, didn't have search at all, right? So we really couldn't do much with self-service through the knowledge base. We had different regional fulfillment processes that needed to be consolidated into one process. We didn't have any kind of notion of prioritization or SLA management, right? So people couldn't really know what to expect, and we didn't even really know what we were in fact delivering. And we had no insight into that backlog and what our actual performance was. So the net of all of those challenges was, frankly, there was a lack of faith in the IT organization, and people didn't really know what would happen when they put in a ticket. Sometimes they would kind of get a good response, and sometimes they wouldn't. So we had all these challenges. And so when we started, I want to talk a little bit about, our principles and some kind of guidelines that we set for ourselves before we actually got into it. These were some of the key principles. Everything had to be global, right? We were going to have one single global system that everyone was using, no regional systems, no different regional processes. So that meant establishing a least common denominator that every region could accept. And if you've all been through that, building that kind of consensus is not necessarily easy. So we put a lot of emphasis on that. Second, we said it had to be self-service as much as possible, and we didn't want to drive things through the portal experience. So we wanted to build a really good portal, and then that's where we wanted to drive users to. And in that process, we said we're going to eliminate any email-based ticketing. You cannot enter a ticket via email. And part of the rationale around that was if we leave email in place for ticketing, then people won't go to the portal. And if people don't go to the portal, then we lose any opportunity to do self-service. All right, so we went cold turkey on eliminating email for inbound ticketing. The third was, as I said earlier, we wanted to support all corporate functions, right? Build out with IT first, get that to be successful, do that in phases, and then build support the rest of the functions. And we did that on about a 6-month cadence for ServiceNow releases. And then the fourth area was, we knew we were going to want to measure and then be able to deliver on performance, right? So commit to be responsive, deliver a friendly experience and a helpful experience, and then measure ourselves against that. So just drilling down into some of those a little bit more, going global, we needed to be very inclusive, right? Get all of the teams, get representation from all of the teams and all of the regions. Be highly collaborative and build consensus on how we're going to lay this thing out. And then also establish a tiered ticketing assignment model so that we could follow the sun and be able to support folks on a 24/7 basis. The self-service and portal-driven details, as I mentioned, go cold turkey, eliminate email ticketing, and even minimize call-ins and try to drive people through the portal. That meant building and maintaining good knowledge bases. I think we've done that. We've got a knowledge base for each functional area, and I think we've got, in IT alone, we've got 500 knowledge base articles and probably 1,000 overall. And then create a modern and effective user experience through the portal and usability test it. And when I say usability test it, I don't mean user acceptance test, which would be something between Alcor and us. I mean usability tests with end users. And what that meant for us, that for each release, we would bring in people that are unfamiliar with what we've built out, end users, not IT folks, end users from the different business units. And we would give them a usability test sequence of tasks to perform. And then we would observe them to see, how they're performing the task and were they successful. And so that went a long way to give us confidence that what we're building was in fact very usable. To support all corporate functions I've mentioned, we proved it out with IT, then we leveraged the lessons learned that we had with IT to build out the other groups. And then we also had to build a portal experience that was going to work across all functions. So you saw that screen that had the portal, the different sub-portals, if you will. We had a top-level portal and then the functional portals underneath. And then we actually have a search experience that takes into account the fact that people could be searching at the top level. And I'll show you a slide on that a little bit later. And then the measuring and delivering performance, 24/7 support, a tiered fulfillment model. We generally, almost everything we have is a level 1, level 2 fulfillment model. So a level 1 team does the triage and either takes the ticket themselves or will escalate to a tier 2. That's been successful. We're very regimented and pay a lot of attention to performance. First time resolution, mean time to resolution, service level agreements that we have for ourselves, and then also customer satisfaction metrics. On a ticket by ticket basis, we do implement the customer sat functionality. So those were our principles. Next up is, again, a little bit of a different view of that 3-year roadmap. So phase 1 was IT and portal. Phase 2 was adding facilities, legal, and operations, and extending what the portal looked like. And getting into mobile for the first time, the mobile classic app. In phase 3, we added HR, and then we got into health status reporting once COVID hit. And I am going to talk about that in a little more detail in case folks are particularly interested in the health reporting. And then, as I said, marketing and finance is underway right now, and we're wrapping those up over the next couple of months. So at that point, we'll have all of the functions that we intended to have will be supported. And things won't end there. We'll go on to a phase 4. You know, what does the future look like? As much as when we're done with phase 3, we'll say we are in pretty good shape, actually, quite good shape. Great portal adoption. People are generally quite happy. They know how to use the system. They know how the portals operate. They know what kind of performance they can expect to get from the delivery organizations, and I would say just overall highly successful. But we're going to keep thinking about what we could do better with continuous improvement. So one of those areas is virtual agent. Some of you may be thinking about that as well. You know, what can we do by implementing a virtual agent and getting into some autonomous resolution? The agent will help us do more, I think, ticket deflection, more self-service, more ticket deflection, and where we can't do ticket deflection, we can complement human interaction with autonomous resolution. So we're going to be doing that. And then we're going to be extending some of the facilities functionality. We're going to do more with the new safe workplace stuff that ServiceNow has come out with. And we're going to do the new, the Now mobile app. We're still on the classic only. We haven't done a custom Now mobile experience. So that's on the slate for next year. And then we're also thinking about what we might do to bring some of the ServiceNow stuff into our intranet portal. So that's a little bit more on our 3-year journey and going into the 4th year. Okay, so I've got a slide here on if you're interested in what kind of numbers we run, what kind of volume we're running through the system. In the IT space, pretty high volume, about 8,000 total tickets. That's between incidents and requests. I think it's about 6,000 incidents, 2,000 requests a month. Facilities, lower numbers, 2,000 a month. HR, yet lower numbers, about 325 cases per month. Portal adoption has been quite good. 74% of our tickets come in through the portal, and then 26% come in through a combination of call-in, walk-in, and email. And when I say email, it's not email coming in, via a formal email ticket. It's someone emailing an IT staffer or an HR staffer that they know, and then that ends up we either ask them to go enter a ticket, or the staff will enter a ticket on their behalf. But anyway, portal adoption's been quite good. And about half of our population visits the portal on a weekly basis, so highly active. In terms of performance, here's some numbers on our actual performance measures. 60% first-time resolution. First-time resolution for us is, has a ticket been resolved by the initial assignee within 24 hours? That's a metric that we've created for ourselves. We started with a 40% target, we went to the 50% target, and then a 60% target over 3 years in IT, and we're hitting 60% now. So that's pretty good performance. And then on MTTRs, we have different targets based on the priority. Priority 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 2 hour, 4 hour, 8 hour, 2-day kind of targets, and 80 to 95% across those 4 ranges, we do hit our targets. So we're pretty pleased with that as well. So that what that nets out is to, people can routinely, feel, confident that when they put something in the system, they get attention, very quickly, and they get resolution very quickly. What that means is we get high customer sat ratings. So we're consistently around the 95% rate. I think about 10% of our population, or 10% of our tickets, get customer sat ratings on them. I'm not sure where that stands against what other people get, but 10% is what we're getting. So that's some of our metrics. Now what I'm going to do is flash some of our actual results. What have we built out? What does it look like? This is the IT portal. The left-hand screen is the top level. The middle screen is the knowledge base, and the right-hand screen is what the service catalog looks like. So it's branded. We try to brand it and keep it tight, keep it clean. We're not doing a ton of customization, a little bit of tweaking maybe on widgets and CSS and look and feel, but we very much try to keep our ServiceNow implementation as out of the box as possible. We try not to do any heavy customizations unless really needed. So this is what the IT portal looks like. Okay, let's move on to another example. This is the HR portal. Again, we drive people into the knowledge base or the catalog, or to directly submit a case, or maybe to contact a rep. If they really need something quickly and they want to contact a rep, we do expose some of the rep emails. The other thing you see on this screen, under the up in the splash screen areas, we do announcements up there. So announcements are articles of a particular category, so we can highlight those, bring those to people's attention. The one thing that we did a little bit differently in HR and legal, on the right-hand side screen there, you see a catalog item, but it's a content item. So some of you may be aware that in the catalog, you can do, of course, traditional forms, request forms with fields and conditions and such. But what we also discovered we could do, and was helpful, was to use content items placed in the catalog. And so we use this in cases where we don't want to put the whole process into ServiceNow. The process exists somewhere else, like the workday process, or a legal contract process. It's happening in a different system. But we want to represent some of those steps, or some of those activities, some of those things people need to accomplish. We want to represent them in ServiceNow. So we put them in as a catalog item, but as a content item. So you can say this one is, I need to change my business title. So they find that in the catalog, but in fact, what it is it's instructions on what they should go do in a workday. So obviously from this, you can see we haven't tried to integrate HR with Workday. We're not using ServiceNow to front end Workday and do transactions in Workday through ServiceNow. We're just using it as a front end. Okay, so that's the HR example. Let's move on to health reporting. Of course, this happened quickly after COVID hit. We, like other companies, had to react pretty quickly to what are we going to do to bring essential workers into the workplace. So we quickly, of course, went to everyone's working remote, but essential workers need to come in. And then over time, that became a little bit more than essential workers. There were folks that just really could maybe do a much more effective job by being in the workplace. So we have to take precautions. So what do? So we rolled out, within a couple of months of COVID hitting, we adopted the use of the freely available apps that ServiceNow put into the App Store. This was that initial offering that ServiceNow put out. And then Alcor helped us build those out into a series of custom forms. So we ended up having to work with each region on what their specific requirements were for their region. And so I'll go through that a little bit more detail in the next slide, but this is what the health reporting portal looks like in a sample form, and then we have the mobile experience on the right side. Okay, so let me go into a little bit more detail. As I said, we built that out, very quickly, which was great. We implemented to support essential workers coming on site. We used that freely available app from the App Store. And then we worked with the legal team, the country leads, and local authorities to spec out the reporting requirements in each region. So Santa Clara and California, Santa Clara County, for example, had very specific things that needed to be covered in the questionnaire. Every region had something, not every region was different, but many regions were different. So India was definitely different. The APAC countries were different. Singapore was different. And so we had to customize each of those. So the process is employees must report in on any day they are entering a facility and I get a typo there, pass, P-A-S-S, the health check. And then Marvell Security cross-checks the past health check reports with badge-ins each day. So we do a monitoring so they can see who's badged in that day, and then they can correlate and make sure that people that have badged in, have in fact completed a health check. Security also gets alerted to any failed health checks immediately, and in that case, they will disable the badge access. The employee gets notified, of course, don't come into the office, and facilities team and security can disable badge access, and then they've got to quarantine for 14 days or whatever the regulation is. So that's what we've implemented, and I'll talk a little bit later on what we'll do next. But this was very successful and really helped us get going here during the initial days of COVID. Now the follow-on will be preparing for the long term, right? How do we enable return to work on a more scaled basis and still ensure health status, employee space management? Are we going to be doing things with controlling where people are? Are we going to be doing some hoteling where people are coming in only part-time? Do we need to do things like contact tracing? If someone has been in the workspace and does turn up ill, do we need to do some contact tracing and see where have they been, what cubes have they been in, maybe even what conference rooms have they been in, who have they been in meetings with? Those are some of the things that we are needing to worry about. So we do think it is in our plan to move from these initial health reporting forms to the new ServiceNow offering for Safe Workplace. If you've seen those, or you can see those out on the ServiceNow website. They're going to support the ability to say, hey, I'm coming into the office, I want to reserve a space, either I'm coming to my regular space or I'm going to reserve a hoteling space. I need to do my health screen. I need to then get an approval to get entry. And then I basically have my pass for the day. And maybe when I come into the office through the main lobby, that I can flash my health check. I don't think we're going to actually do barcode reading, but just be able to show that, hey, I'm clear to come into the office today. So those are some of the things we think we'll be doing in the future around Safe Workplace. Okay, so now I'm going to go to a little bit more on the portal. I mentioned that one of the things we needed to worry about with multiple groups supported is what does the search experience look like? If I'm at the top level and I search for something, you've got 6 knowledge bases, 8 knowledge bases that are sitting there underneath, and am I going to find what I'm looking for? I'm going to search at the top level. I don't know if my issue is an IT issue or a facilities issue, so I'm just going to do my search. So this is how we have dealt with that so far. At the top level, you've got a search ahead, a type ahead that will surface results from the different subportals. And then if you execute the search, you see the screen on the right will show, give you faceted search on the left side there. And that has worked pretty well. So people are pretty happy with what the search experience is. The next thing I wanted to show was some things we've done around what I would call specialty portals. So we have a portal framework now that lets us really quickly and easily build out a new portal, even if it's not for one of the functional groups. So for example, we very quickly after COVID wanted a centralized place where people could find all of the remote work tools and guidelines and processes. So in a matter of days, we just built up a remote work portal. Now the content is in existing places. It could be an existing HR, or it could be an existing IT knowledge base or catalog or facilities, but we centralize the experience for people to bring all of that into one place in the remote work portal, which is the screen you can see on the left. And then we also did that for some of the more significant tool sets that were going to be needed during this remote work period. So Slack is one of them for us, and Zoom is another one. So we did portals for those. Then another example on the right was the onboarding portal. One of the initiatives in the company was to improve the onboarding process. So we said, hey, along with that, we can do the same kind of thing. We can build out an onboarding portal. So that's some of the other ways that we have leveraged ServiceNow and the content. Okay, and then I think my next and last set of slides, and it looks like we will have some time for questions, is just to talk about the idea of virtual agent and what's the next horizon for service delivery. We think we got a game changer available to us to leverage virtual agent and to do even better at user accessibility to services and even faster response times and that autonomous fulfillment that I mentioned. So we are going to do this. This is not a maybe. This is a definite for us. As much as the portal experience, the one on the left, as much as that portal experience has been, really successful, we're not going to stop there. We're going to say, what could we do even better than that? Can we bring the answers? Can we bring the experience for getting service and the fulfillment process? Can we bring that even closer to people and quicker to people? And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that through Slack. Slack is used by virtually everyone in the company. It was rolled out in the March timeframe. It's been highly adopted. We're going to use it not only for messaging at a DM direct message level, but channels. And we're going to bring more enterprise apps and services into the Slack environment and let people interact there, because that's where they are all day. They're in Slack. So in the case of the service delivery, people are going to be able to go to Slack. They're going to be able to go to the agent, and they're going to be able to ask questions, get answers, be directed to self-service solutions. Or if they can't get satisfied with self-service, they're going to be able to just say, hey, would you like me to enter a ticket for you? And they say yes, and the ticket gets created. And over time, we'll work on different automations, and potentially even some of the tickets that come in can be autonomously fulfilled even while you wait. So before they even leave the Slack environment, their request has been fulfilled. So that's where we're going to go next. Pretty excited about that. Okay, so that wraps up my slides. I did get through them pretty quickly, and that leaves us about 15 minutes for Q&A. So Sushma,
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here today. We really appreciate you taking out time to present this insightful webinar. And it was great to hear from you how employees were able to efficiently access the services by leveraging digitized workflows, and how Marvell Semiconductor was able to augment employee experience with service delivery, digital transformation on the ServiceNow platform. What employees actually deserve. So there are a few questions that I'll get to you in a moment. As a reminder, please use the question section to ask a question on today's topic. Okay, so the first question that we have here is, can the portal usage by the employees be measured in ServiceNow? If yes, what are the metrics that could be captured to assess the usage?
Yeah. Hey, that's actually a good question. I don't know if this is from a user that is using or is currently using or thinking of using, but actually that one was, I don't want to say a little bit of a challenge. Getting the visibility into the portal usage using straight ServiceNow available metrics left us wanting more. So I didn't mention it in any of the slides, but we have deployed Google Analytics on the portal. So the majority of our metrics in terms of portal usage, users, visits, what are they looking at? What are they searching for? All of that for us is coming from Google Analytics. And that has worked out acceptably well for us. So I think that'll answer the question.
Yes, Jim, thank you for that. Sushma, would you like to add to it?
Right. So yeah, this is Sushma. So yeah, as Jim mentioned, these are some of the typical portal metrics that can be captured. Yeah, it could be done using the Google Analytics. We've also built dashboards and analytic dashboards for our clients in ServiceNow also, like that help them gauge the portal usage and effectiveness. The common metrics are like, again, the top searches, the top search keywords, top knowledge articles hits, or the top service request hits, trend for for, or the reports for number of users logged in at a given point of time. I think, Jim, you also had a slide for that, like, number of users logged in, or, what's the portal usage, or every day, how many users, typically, like, 60% or 90% of the users log in every day to look at the news and communication. So those are some important metrics that can be measured for the portal usage. And I think it goes a long way when something like this is implemented.
Yep. Agreed.
Thank you, Sushma. Thank you, Jim. So another question that we have here is, what subscription is needed for the additional products to support the ServiceNow solution?
Yeah, so for us, we started 3 years ago, and at that time, I don't remember the exact name of the SKU, the ServiceNow SKU, but it was a bundled SKU that gave us everything you saw there except HR. So the bundle gave us ITSM, it gave us facilities, it gave us legal, finance, marketing, operations actually is not a separate module. That's just kind of hanging off our IT module. So those all came with that bundled SKU that we had from ServiceNow, and I don't remember the name of that part number. HR was a separate module, which you may know. HR is marketed separately and licensed separately. And some of the other back-end things are licensed separately too, like Discovery, the ITOM Discovery. We do that for our server environment. That's separate. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, Jim. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Yeah, and any of the also I talked about some of the Alcor products or some of the products that are there on the ServiceNow store. So usually, like, the license or the subscription information is available on the product that's there on the store. And for the Alcor products, most of the products are built using the platform licenses. There's no additional subscription needed to implement it. It just kind of blends with the existing platform licenses. So it can be part of the package, as Jim mentioned.
That's good to know.
Any other questions we have?
So we can wait for another minute, and if you have any questions, just feel free to type it in the question section of the webinar dashboard. So the last question would be, can the safe return to work functionality accessible from the mobile?
Yes. And I think one of my screens showed that. It showed the ability to go straight to, bring up the mobile, go to the mobile homepage, and immediately go into health reporting, and then go to your region, and it brings up the health form. So that was actually, mobile for the health reporting was absolutely mandatory from the beginning, right? You want people to be able to be on their phone before they're planning to come into work, or be on their tablet and fill out their health report. You don't want them to have to pull out their laptop, their corporate laptop. So yes, it was accessible on mobile.
That sounds good.
Yes, I think the safe return to work, the suite of applications, they're accessible from the mobile app, as well as I think whatever we developed for Marvell, Jim, I think all of that is also accessible. And I think that was one of the primary requirements as well.
Yes, it was. Yep.
Thank you, Sushma. Thank you, Jim. This answers our questions, and thank you everyone for joining. And we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.